So, good evening, everyone. Welcome. This is Purimaisius, the story of Burgher and the Pauper, or as the communists, the socialists, the bourgeois, and the Pauper. And it's amazing how people can be loyal to ideas. Anyhow, we'll talk about Mr. Shem about this today. Let's, without further ado, let's just bring up the story and read a little bit, and Mr. Shem explore what it is that we can get out of it. So, we said that the Burgher had Rachmanas on the Pauper, found out what the general was, went to his place, and he didn't pay attention to anything. He was so upset that he just went there and he paid no attention whatsoever to the guards. And they themselves were so shocked because they saw somebody so wild, just going straight into them in such a wild manner. So they were very shocked. How did he get there? And because of their panic, they didn't challenge him. And he was able to go through the guard and notice until he went to the general's quarter, to the place where the pauper's wife was lying, and he went over and woke her up and said, "Come." When she saw him, she was confused and frightened. She says, "Come with me immediately," he told her. So she went with him. And again, they passed all the guards until they were outside. And only then did he come around, he realized what he has done. It was such a reckless thing. He realized there would soon be a great outcry, and so it was. There was a great outcry from the general's men. Let's read a little bit more, and then I should talk about a couple of things here. The Burgher went and hid himself in a pit full of rainwater until the uproar died down. He remained in the pit with her for 2 days, and she saw the great sacrifice that he made for her, as well as the great suffering that he endured for her sake. And she swore to Hashem that all of her good fortune and success, it's possible that she would have some good fortune, perhaps some importance or success or whatever. If she were to have that, she would not withhold him from the Burgher. Even if you wanted to take all her success and greatness so that she would be just as she was originally, a wife of a pauper, she would withhold nothing from him. Okay, but how could a witness be found in such a place for such a nader? So she took the pit as a witness. After 2 days, he left with her. And they went further, and he went with her further and further. And he understood that in that places she was also being sought. So this time he went and hid himself in a ritual bath with her in a mikveh. Again, she thought about the great sacrifice and suffering that he had endured for her, and made the same oath as before, that all good fortune, whatever she will have, will be given to him. And she took the mikveh as her witness. Then they remained there for approximately 2 days, and they left and went further. Again, he understood the search was being made for them there. So again, he hid himself with her, this time in another place, altogether in 7 different places of water. There were pit and ritual and bath mentioned above, in a pool, in a spring, in a stream, in a river, in the lake. And in every place they hid, she always remembered the self-sacrifice and suffering he endured for his sake, and always made the same oath she made earlier, each time taking the place as a witness. And they continued traveling, each time hiding in these places until they finally came to the sea. As soon as they reached the sea, since the Burgher was a great tradesman and he knew the sea lanes, he was able to make arrangements to reach his country. And he traveled the journey and came home with the pauper's wife, and he returned her to the pauper. And the joy was tremendous. So now the pauper's wife, he travels home, the Burgher, because he had done such a thing. In addition, he withstood the tests with her, because he had a fear of Hashem. He didn't touch her. And because of this, he was remembered by Hashem, was given that year, was granted a son. And she too, the pauper's wife, also resisted temptation, both with the general and with the Burgher. And the result, she was deemed worthy, and she gave birth to a daughter. And the daughter was unbelievably beautiful, and there's a whole set of mices that come from this moment on. But let's talk a little bit about what went on until now. When the Burgher's wife is kidnapped by the general, and the Burgher's wife is basically each and every one of us, is kidnapped by the Yetzer Hara. The first thing that she does, number one, is resist the temptation. And the way that she resists temptation is by crying. There might be, we might be found in places spiritually that we don't want to be found in. We don't want to have anything to do with that. But there's nothing that we can do. And then we're thinking, maybe we can do something about it. Or maybe we should be able to do something about it. And yet we're not doing anything about it. So what's going on with us? So what's the story with us? We found that in the first story of the Lost Princess, when the viceroy enters the castle of the not good, it's very parallel to, the place of the general. Same way as the viceroy was not blocked from entering, here, the Burgher is not blocked. However, over there, it is the viceroy that lies down in the corner. And the princess, which is the Shekhinah, that notices him and comes to him and touches him and asks him, do you recognize me? Over here, we're finding a different twist in the plot, as it were. What she does was cry and lie down. Lying down signifies a yishuv hadas, as opposed to standing up, moving about, you're doing actions. Many times we can find ourselves in a situation that we are unable to make sense of what's going on with us, to explain why on earth are we allowing ourselves to do things that we know that we should not do. Why is this going on? One of the biggest mistakes that people can do, that people do, they can't do, that people do, is they make decisions to change, to move, to do whatever it is, when they are in a situation of moichen dekatness, of what you would call constricted consciousness. When sometimes we find ourselves in situations that we can't stand people talk to us and we can't even talk to them. Even people that are close to us, they want to discuss things with us. They want us to make decisions. They want to, whatever it is, and we're too upset or too scared or too agitated or whatever it is, but what's going on with us. And we decide that that's it. I've had enough. I'm making a change. The one thing that we need to learn is that in state of confusion, in state where things are not clear to us, either we don't know what we need to do, or we're just too nervous and agitated or limited for whatever reason, psychologically, mentally, whatever it is you want to call it, to make a sensible decision. The time then is not to make a decision. That is not the time to make decisions. Decisions are to be made in a time where you have Yishuv Hadas. I mean, yes, when people are in distress, that's the time that they should reflect. They should reflect and come down and get to a situation, where they understand what's going on and they get a certain medicum of rachvas hamoichin, of expanded consciousness. I'm not talking about, this drug culture is very difficult to use this kind of terminology. But when a person is in motion dekatnus, the time is not. That's not the time to make decisions. The time is to keep the status quo. And this is, says, Rabos machshavos belev ish, ve'atzas Hashem hisakum. A lot of thoughts in the heart of men, and the eitz of HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the thing that will stand. That's the Pashat Pshat of this pasuk in Tehillim, in Psalms. But Rabbi Eli Chaim Lozhin used to say, when there's Rabos Machshavos Belev Ish, when a person is very agitated and he doesn't know what to do, Atzas Hashem, you know what the advice of Kodesh Baruch Hu is? Tokum. In Yiddish it's called stay. Stand, remain, don't move. Stay where you are, stay the way you are. What happens is that because she's lying down, she's asleep, meaning there's no moichin. Like we can be found in situations where we have no moichin. We don't know which way to go. We don't know what we should do or shouldn't do. What is the thing? What are the decisions we should make? We don't know. What we do at that point in time is we go to sleep. Going to sleep is a euphemism of putting yourself into Emunah. You lose yourself into Emunah. Rabbeinu repeats it many times at Torah Test and in other places that Shena is B'chinas Emunah Torah Metches. Shena, that sleep is a B'china of Emunah. That's the B'china where you take the moichin, you take the intellect, and you put it aside. Put your mind aside. Don't bother with that. It's not going to help you. The reason why it's not going to help you, and it's one of a really complex issues that I'm dealing now, learning, the Torah Zmanis that we're learning is Torah Chafei in Breslov, in which Rabbeinu speaks about the various stages of breaking down the power of imagination. And we spoke about it quite a few times before. Breaking down the power of imagination and realizing, that's the first step. Then the second step is coming up and realizing what the seichel is, what the true seichel is. But the fact that you realize what the true seichel is does not yet mean, A, that you are able to act upon it, and B, that you should be condemned for not being able to act on it. If a person, for instance, not that I recommend this to anyone, but if a person is watching movies, and you shouldn't, and you realize essentially you should not be doing this, we leave this world, and all these movies are going to be there. Your own computer is going to testify against you. That's the Chazal says, the Evan Mikir Kitizok, and says that a stone from the wall will cry out. It says the walls of a person's own home will testify to what he or she has done. What are you going to do? The person starts and he falls back to where it was before. I'm hopeless. There's no chance for me. So it seems. The Rebbe says in the Torah that what you need to do is you need to be chayker, you need to investigate, you need to work, and you have to start implementing that true seichel into your life. That particular experience is called sechel hapoel, where you are implementing the wisdom that you understand. You don't just know it as, okay, I know that's what's supposed to be, but between this and my life, it's two separate things. No. You're already working on implementing it. Be one step at a time, one step forwards, two step backwards, two step forwards, one backwards, whatever it is. And that eventually brings you to a third stage where you already have what it calls sechel anikna, where it's already, that wisdom is already part and parcel of who you are. And Rabbeinu says that that's the only thing that remains from a person after he leaves this world. So in Tereches, the second Chelek, Nosson dives into it in great depth. In Hilchos Shluchim, Halacha Hey, the Halacha of messengers, the fifth Halacha, it is a very complex issue. And we're not going to get into it. I myself haven't been able to figure it, completely in my own mind. But basically what the Rebbe says is that the seichel of a person has nothing to do with physicality. It is the power of the imagination, the ability to imagine, the ability to live in a physical world that allows a person to do mitzvahs. The seichel itself has nothing to do with physicality. The mitzvahs are very physical. You're supposed to put in film, supposed to, keep Shabbos, so Dalad Minim, and so forth and so on. All these mitzvahs are Gashmis, the mitzvahs. The seichel has nothing to do with Gashmis. So the power of imagination is the messenger of the mind. Nevertheless, all the mistakes come from the power of imagination. The imagination is obviously impressionable. Now, the power of imagination creates a state. It's called a state of Amunah. The power of imagination results in a certain Amunah. Now, the more twisted the power of imagination is, the more twisted and weak the Amunah is. The Rabbeinu says that, in last week's Parsha, that the Meraglim says it's Eretz Ochel Yeshveh, as we spoke about it. It's a land that consumes its inhabitant. Emunah is something that consumes those who share that faith. They become that essence. The communists become communists. Nazis become Nazis. And those who become, believe in a Kadosh Baruch and become tzaddikim. You become what you believe in. But even more than that, state of Amunah has afterwards another relationship with the power of imagination. If the Amunah is twisted, it twists the power of imagination even more, which cements a more twisted imagination. And it's like a back and forth kind of relationship. What it means is as follows. When a person has a false emunah, any kind of data, information, opinion, fact, proof, that person will absorb, the emunah of a person will absorb that piece of information and will convert it to further proof that this is where the emunah is supposed to be, that this is what the fact is supposed to be. And this is how you're supposed to believe, and this is what you should have done all along. I told you the story once that Rabbi Tatz had a patient, a woman patient, that her husband insisted that she needed a certain kind of alternative treatment that Dr. Tatz, Rabbi Tatz, knew will be bad for her. So he told the husband, do not subject your wife to this particular treatment because that will damage her, that will hurt her. But that person did not listen to him. And the state of this woman actually deteriorated. So when Rabbi Tatz, Dr. Tatz told him, I told you not to do this, it made the situation worse. The answer of the husband is a perfect example of what we are talking about when we say that Emunah uses all the data to reinforce itself. What do you think this person answered? He said, imagine how worse off she would have been had I not given her that treatment. When a person holds a certain emunah, it doesn't matter what proof, what lies you'll give them, it doesn't matter. It becomes a proof to what they believe, to what they want to believe. That's why that woman realized that she is in danger. The emunah, we understand we're in danger. Maybe doing things that we should not be doing. At that point in time, we should run to sleep. We should run to emunah. Emunah, pshuta, Kadosh Baruch Hu, what says yes is yes, what says no is no, and that's it. As we are learning in Torah Chavdala together, that the whole thing is about some Torah tests that we learn on Thursdays. The main Nakuda is not to think bad thoughts. Rav Nosson says it doesn't matter where you catch yourself thinking those bad thoughts. It's not like, because the nature of the game is that when a person is screening himself a movie in his mind, and in this movie, whatever it is he shows himself, suddenly he finds himself really deep into a movie he should not be watching in his mind. He also says, stop right then and there. Because the nature of the beast is, listen, I'm already there, I'm already into it, like just let's, just go on. No. Catch it wherever you catch. I don't care if you already spent 10 hours doing it. Stop it there. It does huge things that you stop it there. This is the crying. This is the lying down, going to sleep. And the tzaddik comes and wake us up. He wakes us up, and then we go, and then we go. What are you doing here? He says, just get up and come with me. Rabbeinu is telling us, get up and rely on my koyach. Get on my shoulders. Rely on me. And this is the time to get up, trust the tzaddik, and go with him. Just go with him. No. The minute you go with the tzaddik, what happens? Entire bruha. Everybody and his uncle is going berserk. All the people of the general are going berserk. The way to go through that, the way to go to hide from that, is to go to places of purity. First of all, it's just a hole of rainwater. Then it's a mikveh. Then it's all these places are places of purity. In all these places, they're only staying for 2 days. Now it's temporary. You accept yourself not to do the things you shouldn't be doing, even for just for a little period of time. The main thing that we need to understand, at least at this point in time, the koyach hamedama, the power of imagination, that Rabbeinu calls in Terech Hafei, calls it this leva even, the stone heart that has to be broken. In Torah Aleph, Rabbeinu says the Yetzer Hara dresses himself up, camouflages itself in mitzvahs. The first, what kind of mitzvahs? What do you think? Take a Tululovim, 5 Aravis. What kind of mitzvahs? The first con, the first fraud that the Yetzer Hara does in this sequence of clearing our power of imagination and getting into the true seichel is to realize that self-immolation and beating ourselves up is not the way to get to the Seichel Amiti. This is the eights of the Yetzer Hara. First of all, you're not good. If only you were this much better and this whatever, then, but that's not where it's at. You're not where it's at. This is not what this is all about. That's the first camouflage of the Yetzer Hara. What do you want? What? You mean that you should be watching movies? You mean that you should go clubbing? You mean that you should, flirting? I don't know, whatever it is that the person does. You mean you should be doing this? Should accept this? The answer, of course, is no. What I should accept, and that's the lying down and going into Emunah, is that this is where I am right now. Right now is not the time to start judging whether I deserve to be on the Mizrach in Gan Eden or Chas v'Chalila, the Ma'arav of Gehenna. That's not the time. You leave this for the time you need to do tshuva, you'll do tshuva. Right now, you have to say, this is where I am. I know that I have to go to the Seichel Amiti. I have to stop doing the things that I need not to do. I have to stop doing the things that I know that I need to do. The question is, how do I do that? The time is not to beat myself on the chest when I discover that I'm in the pits. The time, how did I get here? What did I do? Here I go again. I can't believe I did it one more time. The answer is, how can I get to the next step? What do I do? Tachlis l'maisa. It's a very interesting thing. The male force and the female force in one person. We know that you need both lights, the female and the male, in order to reproduce, in order to progeny. We know that when a man and a woman come together, that the male force offers literally billions, limitless possibilities. Billions wannabes that want to compete for the chance to want to be. The woman, however, produces one egg at a time. The word nekeva, Lavan says to Yaakov, Nokva alai scharcha. Mention what do you want from me? Name your price, but the minute you name your price, you're going to get what you're asking for, but you're not going to get a penny more. The female aspect of a person makes a way for all the billions, all the limitless possibilities, and concretizes it into one single possibility, probability, inevitability, and reality. This is what it is. It's real. It's limited. I mean, in a dream, it was so beautiful. Yeah, there was no possibilities. It's like a mind of a child. Everything is possible. So when you grow older, the possibilities are shrinking. Ultimately, it's about creating a single reality. You get up and do. No, but the Yetzirah wants to, and the power of imagination wants to keep you beating on your chest, beating yourself up. Self-humiliation. What did I do? What happens? What? The answer is, when the tzaddik comes to you and tells you, get up and come with me and rely on me, you're going into a state of purity. Then you're making a move. And then the move is specific, it's concrete, it's fraught with danger. And every step of the way, these are the powers of Sitra Achra that want to hunt you down, that want to close you down, that want to make you feel that that's it, you're finished, there's nothing more to talk about, you're toast. You get up, you can sit, you put your head down again, more purity. Getting up, they're still looking for me. I'm still in all this trouble. Lower your head down, go to the mikveh, go to the sea, you go to the Mayan, you go to all those places of purity. It doesn't matter how many times they get you. You put your head down, you go to purity, you run away into purity. One more time again. The tzaddik is with you. And with this, finally you get to the sea, and finally you get to a seichel, the seichel amiti. Finally, you get a medicum of peace. Yes, you get other problems, but they're not the problems that used to beset you before. These are already problems of the next step, of going up. Comes to the sea. Now you know what the lanes are. You have a certain sechel anikne, Baruch Hashem Yeshem Shabbos, Baruch Hashem you eat kosher. All these things, these are the things that you actually, you keep, you do. Kol beseder. You have a sechel anikne. Now it's time to go the next step. We all have to go. We are all going through these steps. We're all going through this, and we're all like watching. It's like, what am I doing? It's okay. No, it's not okay that I'm doing it, but this is where I am. And beating myself up is not going to solve anything. In fact, it's going to lock me and make me a prisoner forever. I have to accept the fact that this is where I am. Now, what is actually, on the agenda is making the first step. The first step, leaving the male demyonis and all the possibilities and how wrong I am and why did I get it and whose fault it is, whatever it is, and become, what is the next step? How do I do? What's my next step? How do I go from here? And then you take the step. And the thing is, as we said, that, he stood with the son, with her, she stood, so we'll talk about it in next time, but it means it's whatever it is that we do, every thought that we think makes a huge difference. Makes a huge difference in upper elements. Every single struggle that we go through, big, small, medium, whatever, makes a huge, huge difference. Baruch Hashem, we have a Rebbe who is very, very strong. Hopefully, B'ezrat Hashem, will all be in Uman Shoshana, the Mitzvah Hashem, the Sasam, the Simcha. Each person according to his ability, to what he can do. And B'ezrat Hashem will be Zeicha to all good, everything good, everything good. B'ezrat Hashem. So,